Because Caitlin Clark's detractors are aware that everything has changed, this picture gives them nightmare fuel. Let me clarify. They believed they had Caitlin under control. She was having trouble. Without her, the Fever was struggling and she was out of commission. They believed that the prophecy of Diana Taurasi's reality coming was finally come to pass. They were getting into their little arguments and they smelled blood. However, the outcome was reversed by the Fever's Commissioner's Cup victory. No one anticipated it, particularly ESPN, who utterly embarrassed themselves. I will address them shortly. For Caitlin and the Fever, this victory changed the course of the season in 3 significant ways. If we've learned anything, it's that the more success Caitlin achieves, the more people are against her and the more intense the Fever gets. I'll explain this in this video. After the game, Caitlin said, "Just wait. It will turn out to be a prophecy." Let's dive straight into what transpired, how the haters responded, and what lies ahead. But first, celebrate the Fever's victory by leaving a trophy in the comment section. First of all, this is what almost no one anticipated going into the Commissioner Cup Finals, yet Fever supporters anticipated before the beginning of the season. The Fever were hailed as championship candidates at the beginning of the season. The well-known free agents were brought in. In essence, their Now You Know campaign declared, "We run this league and you can pound sand if you don't like it," by the 1st of June, which we now know. Then the transfer deadline. The Fever did this comes Friday, of course. They also had Caitlin Clark, who returned energized and prepared to step up her game, and they got off to a spectacular start, destroying the sky in front of 207 million people watched. However, the probe into hate speech, Caitlin's 5-game injury, Dana's decision to quit her job, and her removing of Peter Gibbons from the office all caused chaos. But Caitlin's historic comeback against the Liberty, we assumed everything was back to normal. However, the following game, Gladiator Night at Gamebridge, saw UFC, JC, and MMA Matt Berry take their best shots at Caitlin, while the referee essentially gave them advice then Caitlin received. She was hurt during garbage time against the Storm, which prevented her from winning the Commissioner's Cup. All things considered, the Fever were not expected to defeat the Lins. In fact, ESPN had one of the largest cell phones ever during the game. I believe ESPN announced that the Lins dominate the Fever to win the Commissioner's Cup around the 3rd quarter, or at least that's when I was informed of it. I also captured a screenshot. This screenshot is entirely mine. I therefore went and made sure this because I was incredulous. I also confirmed this. They only altered the title after the game was over, leaving this up throughout. Crazy. In any case, the team took over and proved their mettle without Caitlin. After falling behind early, they made a run of 18-0 and never looked back. They had outstanding individual performances, such as Natasha Howard, who declared her desire to win MVP, and damn, it came true. That's manifestation in action. In any case, on ESPN, the Fever did an Uno reverse. Without Caitlin Clark playing, they dominated the Lynx in their barn, and the critics went crazy. Not only did the Fever win, but Caitlin also took home a title despite not playing. The only criticism leveled at Caitlin Clark is that she hasn't taken home a national title. And you can only use that as evidence against her. You know, the most common criticism of Caitlin was that she had never taken home a title. Despite changing the record book and leading a mid-team to victory, that is what prevented her from making ESPN's list of the top 5 collegiate players of all time. Thrice in the finals. They have exploited Caitlin's lack of a title in conjunction with Angel's championship with LSU and Unrivaled to claim that Angel is better since she is a quote-unquote winner, despite the fact that the entire rivalry with Angel Rhee is pointless at this time because they are not in the same galaxy in terms of talent or influence. With this Commissioner Cup victory, it is no longer a crutch for the haters. It doesn't count, of course, according to the naysayers, in addition to claiming that it isn't a legitimate championship. They also claim that it doesn't matter because Caitlin wasn't present at the final game. Now, For that reason alone, this is obviously junk logic. It's not as if she's a Nicola Topic or anything, but did win the final without her. She recorded a 32-point near triple-double against the New York Liberty, which was the sole reason they advanced to the final. They overcame the New York Liberty, who had never lost, thanks to a spectacular performance by Caitlin Clark in a game that nobody anticipated winning. After playing lights-out ball against the Liberty and then having a big impact on the game against the Sun, Caitlin was the reason they made it there. However, those who claim that the game was rigged win the prize for having the saltiest tears. Okay, let's capitalize the actual fans. The backroom arrangement you two arranged to get the links to throw this game will be discovered by the true W supporters, failing to reach 60 points at all. Even the unaided eye cannot believe that we're coming for your job full force when we find out. The selective logic, however, is what makes this amusing. These are the same folks that erupted in celebration of Angel Reese's unparalleled title, which is a professional one, but does not follow the WNBA system. Then there is this, though. Angel was in the building, and she didn't play in the final either. However, this did not stop her supporters, and the media from celebrating her victory, making visuals to congratulate her on winning a championship and using it to disparage Caitlin Clark because Angel now had two advantages against Caitlin. However, since Caitlin did not participate in the final and it was rigged anyhow, her crucial contribution to bringing the team to the WNBA intra-season championship final with prize money does not matter. Yes, Jan. Here's where the haters are trembling, though. Without Caitlin, the Fever prevailed on the main stage. They defeated the league's top team, the Lynx, who were 14-2 at the time, and they did it in their arena. Yes, Carver North, given the large number of Fever and Iowa supporters that attended. It's still a road win, though, it's proof of concept as well. When it mattered most, all of the leaders who were called upon for critical crises delivered. Natasha Howard was a beast once more. Sophie was very helpful. Additionally, when you combine that with the fantastic seasons that Aaliyah and Lexi are experiencing, there's a lot to enjoy at the moment. Are they flawless? Not at all. Can we voice our dissatisfaction with coaching? Indeed. Fans act in this way. However, things are moving in the correct way. Recall how I stated that the Fever's fortunes were altered in 3 ways by this victory? Here's how. To start, it calms this team down. Winning, as they say, makes everything better. Additionally, Sophie recently stated that the squad, nothing brings people together like a championship, even if it's not the major one, when they're all on separate islands. They needed to defeat the Liberty and the Lynx, the 2 best teams. The swagger has returned, but I wouldn't anticipate perfection in the future. They appear to have survived the storm. Additionally, they are far more dynamic now that Ari McDonald is a permanent member of the mix than they were with Bonner, the goner. Second, Caitlin has more time to relax because the edge is removed. Many people, including myself, speculated that the Fever had let Caitlin play injured to start the season, after which she was able to return early from her injury. Without Caitlin, the Fever have every reason to remain in the running for the playoffs for a few more games or weeks. Supporters had already been pleading with the Fever to give Caitlin more time to recover, and after defeating the Lynx, I believe Caitlin and the Fever will be more willing to go this path. This strategy was evident right away when the Fever announced a day in advance that Caitlin would be out against the Aces rather than making her a game-time decision. Third, once Caitlin is fully recovered, she will be on a team that, in her absence, is winning games and clicking. They can now gradually reintegrate Caitlin instead of over-relying on her right away and risking re-injury because A.R. McDonald is here to stay. Additionally, they will be reevaluated as contenders, and with cap space, they may be able to get an upgrade through a trade. Because they scented blood, the haters find all of this frightening. They all agreed that Caitlin was having a bad time, and they told her about it in an anonymous manner. In the player voting, Caitlin Clark came in 9th place. She really came in behind one of her own teammates in the All-Star Game player vote. There are no limits to the pettiness. Look, there are many reasons why Caitlin Clark was voted the 9th best guard by the players in the All-Star voting. Yes, I am aware that she wasn't actually ranked 9th. However you slice it, the figures, even with ailments and some awful performances that were probably caused by a persistent injury, plus the way teams double team her every game, scream hit job. You can't allow her to be the 9th best guard. America adores her. She is obviously adored by her fans. The athletes detest her, but the media likes her. The league's 9th best guard, well, she's been struggling lately, or she missed some games with injury. Please don't try to justify this to me. This is insane, and it's an activist vote, in my opinion, by WNBA women who can't bear her success. It's so childish and stupid. Once more, it appeared that they had sent a message. On the ropes is Caitlin, but now that the Fever have won the Commissioner Cup, they have more time to recover and are confident in their ability to play better. So the haters are scared. And it's not that I'm afraid of her. Actually, that isn't it at all. They are aware that Caitlin Clark and the dominant Fever team will garner the most attention at their peak. We will keep breaking viewership records. We'll keep attracting new followers. Many in the league don't want those supporters, despite the fact that it violates sense in many ways. This is the reason to the NBA. However, I do believe that we could just raise money for the NBA to address the pay discrepancy. Perhaps you guys should avoid going to the casinos one evening. However, I have a problem with this since it annoys me. It annoys me because, in my opinion, no one in America is more supportive of the WNBA than NBA players, 100%. Although this video isn't brand new, I believe it clarifies the attitude. Since its founding, the NBA has invested hundreds of millions of dollars in the WNBA with no comeback in over 30 years. The W would have folded long ago if it weren't for them. They lost a whopping $40 million, 0 cents last year, even with Caitlin Clark involved. With NBA training wheels, the WNBA is like riding a bike. They remain upright no matter what occurs or how much they sway. Caitlin offered the chance to take the training wheels off. However, as you recall, from during the process of learning to ride a bike, spills and injuries are inevitable. In this instance, casual supporters who aren't there merely to unconditionally cheer women's basketball are the source of the bruising. They are there to be amused, and like sports fans, they will be critical of players. Angel Ree and her boundaries are constantly on display. Let's go back to the clip of Lisa Leslie. I believe that many athletes have two things since they are so accustomed to the league continuing regardless of their financial performance. First, conceit that the league is invincible. A false sense of entitlement comes in second. In other words, if they do start making money, paying back the investors at least partially should come first, not requesting a raise. However, it doesn't appear that the players share that perspective in the mistaken belief that the casuals will simply return as soon as it is over. They are already discussing striking. However, they also believe that they can take advantage of Caitlin and her fans and still succeed. Since they want the former WNBA to return to its former glory, I don't think they care if they do. Less pressure was placed on him. Additionally, it seems that Bonner was unable to handle the spotlight, which is really hot, in any way, shape, or form during his conversation with Sorcerer 2. I simply suspect that this is the case for a large number of players. If it's not the crowds, it's the heightened attention and internet trolls. Nevertheless, the saddest aspect of all of this is that the WNBA is currently being sucked dry by new fans. It's simply the reality. You're correct. Thanks to Caitlin Clark, the number of viewers has never been higher, new fans. Never before has there been so much interest. The first take on Caitlin Clark lasts for 40 minutes. That was something they had never done before. When Monica McNutt yelled, you're correct. However, You are aware that there were other plot lines in the WNBA both last year and the years before. There was happiness competition was discussed